Hi, and welcome to This Week on 33rd Street. I'm sports editor Mike Wisniewski, and I'm joined today by our associate sports editor Kenny Casper, and we're here to talk Penn football. So, Kenny, you were at the Penn-Princeton game on Saturday. Penn won 28-21. Big Ivy win, and now it sets up a game with title implications this Saturday against Harvard at Franklin Field. But first, let's talk about the win against the Tigers. Penn, how do you think that Penn was able to come out and beat a team like Princeton that, was the only Ivy team to beat Harvard, and yet they lost to a team like Yale? What was the biggest difference this Saturday?
Well, the thing that I saw that was distinctive about this game against Princeton that I had not seen from Penn throughout this season was a game plan, a defined game plan built around the running game. I think that they're starting to realize, after coming out of the quarterback controversy of Holland versus Ragone, they're realizing we can use Ragone effectively. We have other weapons, and if we can build a game around the running game, then we can be effective offensively. So, yes, Ragone threw for less than 100 yards against Princeton, but that doesn't matter when you rush for 243. And in fact, we thought that they would probably attack the secondary and look to pass more, but they had a plan. That plan was to run the ball, and they did it very effectively.
All right, well, what would the game plan be against Harvard? I mean, Penn played a pretty complete game against Princeton, but what do they, if they play the same way against Harvard that they play against Princeton, is that enough, or what do they really need to do?
Is it enough? Well, for starters, Penn needs to come out and play another complete game. They need to see their running game successful. That's key for Ragone. They also need to see their secondary have another strong outing where their secondary is not only not a negative for them, but actually a positive, where they picked up 2 interceptions against Princeton and 3 total on the day. That was huge for Penn. So we'll need to see a complete game. We need to see the rushing game. We need to see the secondary. Will that be enough? To be honest, I think that if Harvard plays at its very best, it may be out of reach for this team. Harvard is a very, very talented squad. You'll need to see Harvard make some mistakes. That said, what we have seen is that Harvard is vulnerable at times, and Princeton exploited that. And I know that the Penn football team will be closely watching the game tape from that Princeton-Harvard game to find out any insights they can as to how they can exploit Harvard.
Right, they did lose that big game to Princeton earlier this season, so if Penn does beat Harvard this weekend, they'll clinch at least the tie of the Ivy title this year. But what do you think Penn fans should expect on Saturday? Harvard's ranked. They beat Columbia 69-0 last weekend. What's your prediction?
Well, I'm certainly, one prediction is that Penn fans are going to come out in force. I would certainly hope, if they're going to come out to see any game, and it should be this one this year. Harvard has a very explosive offense. That's going to be difficult for Penn to contain. That said, I think if Penn isn't going to give itself a chance, it's going to need at least hold Harvard to a reasonable number of points. We can't see any 69-point outbursts as they had last weekend against Columbia. So if I'm going to say that it's going to be a close game, I think that Harvard's probably going to ultimately have the edge. I will look for them to beat the Quakers something along the lines of 35-24.
35-24. All right, well, it'll be close till the end, and we'll be live blogging the game from Franklin Field Saturday afternoon at noon.